Hello. A late message concerning the new legislation that is possibly going through Parliament. It's gone through on its second reading. It's due to go through further negotiation before it passes to law. I think I've mentioned a little bit about it in, I think it was yesterday's video or the day before's video, and it's what they put together is a package of measures that they want to more or less what they're doing is they're rewriting previous law, in that they're updating laws and regulations, and in doing so they are adding further restrictions, and part of that is down to the present pandemic situation. So what they're doing is, by actually introducing these added restrictions at this time, they are attempting to introduce restrictions that will last beyond the actual pandemic restrictions, and also making them more draconian than they were than the present restrictions. They are making it so that it is left to officers' discretion as to whether a particular protest is offensive. Now they work on a basis that it is already very strict, and things can be halted as they are. There are enough present regulations to do some of the things that they want to bring in, but they are wanting to sort of make those restrictions, the present restrictions, more flexible for the officers to deal with, so that this will actually mean that in some cases the same offences or same actions will be prosecuted in one area and not be prosecuted in another area. Sometimes this happens anyway because of police work that anyway, but this will actually be much clearer, in that perfectly legal actions that will be identical done in another area can be prosecuted. Now, it will probably cause them masses of legal problems in trying to do this, because of, as long as protests know that a protest in another area is not getting prosecuted for what they have done, those laws can be sort of dismissed when it comes to the actual prosecution. But the fact that they bring the prosecution in the first place is a deterrent to people wanting to be active for a specific cause. When it comes to the vegan events, most, if not all, vegan events are far less of an offence than, say, some of the other protests that have gone on. Usually because of all vegan protests have been very small. Yeah. So the one type of protest that vegans generally do is to show footage of animal farming and animal killing. Now, the odd person will find those items offensive. Under this new rule, offence can be enough to stop the protest. Now, the thing with the showing of these things that are done, the things that, say, the Anonymous for the Voiceless show are not illegal acts. Everything that is shown by the Anonymous for the Voiceless are what have been shown to be legal, and they've been shown to be legal by the fact that the same pieces that are shown on the screens are the actual things that have been taken to authorities for the authorities to do something about. And in some cases, they've been taken to court. They've taken the actual actions to court. And for each of everything that the Anonymous for the Voiceless have shown, where they've actually done those sort of things, that nobody has been prosecuted and nobody has been sacked. Nobody has been removed from their job. So, if they want to bring this offensive thing in on this basis, then they have to show that what we are actually showing is an illegal act. Because if it isn't an illegal act, then what we're showing cannot be an illegal thing that we're doing. They could say that, oh, but you wouldn't show an operation. But again, because of that would be a legal operation, there would be no reason not to show it, wherever we showed it. But there is no reason to show operations anyway. And usually operations are shown on TV as just a normal thing, whereas the practices that happen on farms to animals are not shown, or rarely shown, other than the most extreme when it comes to prosecution or some scandal. So the law changes. It's difficult to see the full detail of how bad it would be. The seemingly worst situations are to do with travel and travellers. They will be the most affected by it. I mean, obviously, they're already extremely badly affected by the law as it is anyway. But it probably will be even worse for them than it would be generally for at least our small type of protest. Larger protests could be could have a worse situation, and particularly ones that would help us all, whether it comes to environment, women's rights. See, with what happened with women's rights this week, that situation under the new laws that they want to bring in could be worse than what happened last week, because of the new laws are meant to be a sort of a direct sort of action to actually prevent the actual protest happening in the first place. So under them circumstances, the police would be in the process of breaking up the demonstration as people start to come to it, rather than waiting until the demonstration was in place. And this is what's not the at the moment the present situation under that law is that it's not that there is no provision to end it when the pandemic, when restrictions are lifted. So that when the present restrictions are lifted, the severity of what the police can do with a demonstration will remain the same as what they have for while the restrictions are in place. Like I said, it's going through Parliament, it's still being talked about. There is a massive petition on the government website, which is well worth going to and signing. When I signed 3 days ago, 150,000 people had already signed, and I believe that it's probably a lot larger than that by now. But it needs action. It needs people to speak up about it. It needs people to say something about it. As I say, generally for vegan activism, there may be problems with it, but at the moment I think that they may be less of a problem, may have less of a problem than larger demonstrations. Unless, of course, they work on the obscenity of what they regard in the killing or abuse of animals. That's the only sort of possible comeback that this new law may have upon us. I will leave it at that. I've covered quite a bit. I think if I start going on more, I'll probably just repeat some of what I've already said. I might ought to end it on concentrating on the animals and knowing that however bad it is for any humans in whatever our situations are, at least we can talk and try to change what pressures or injustice we're put under. Animals are not. Animals need all of us, even people who don't really care that much about them, to speak up for them. So please do. I will always be doing so, and I really do hope that many more of you will as well. Bye for now.